Kevin O'Leary, many of you know, if you watch Shark Tank, Shark Tank is a fascinating show where you have these billionaires that are approached by different people with different projects to invest in. It's very fascinating. Kevin O'Leary, and what he said, this article here, Mr. Wonderful said he's increasingly turning to Chat GPT instead of Google. He said 6 months ago he used Google 100%. Now it's 50% of the time. Then he says the AI search wars are on. And now he only gets into stuff where he can make money, as he talks about over and over again. So here's my question. You've got, as I understand it now, you've got Microsoft with the Chat GPT. You've got Google developing something too, and China also. So they're like dueling AIs. So here's my question. Do you see or foresee a time when you've got these dueling AIs where it'll come together in one system where this final Antichrist will be able to send messages to the entire world? And this is an answer that everybody will get on their device, and they won't have a second choice. In other words, it's so developed, they'll say, look, we have all the answers right there. Now, let me hear what you have to say about this idea.
So the danger of Chat GPT goes far deeper than having a more sophisticated or relevant search capability.
Right.
Where Kevin is going into Chat GPT, if I'm going to guess correctly, doesn't have anything to do with Google's search ability. And let me just read this because it is interesting how he says this, right? He says the AI search wars are on, just like you said. He's smart, right? Chat GPT is Microsoft, okay? Right. Bing is Microsoft. He is coming against Google now because he's developing an interest in Chat GPT, and Chat GPT means he's going to start embracing Microsoft again. The bigger issue that's involved here is I am no longer going to allow it to be at my discretion how I determine the data that I pick and choose from the internet, because I don't want you to use your discretion in doing so. When Google first came out, let me just tell you what the big issue was for all of us. Students go and use Google, they rip things off, they take the data, they copy and paste it, and it took us years and years and years and years and years for us to teach students what the integrity of scholarship was all about, to keep them from being reckless with their information that they pulled, to be wise about where the sources of information are called from, and be discerning about the accuracy of the information that you're actually pulling. When you say you're going to lean in on Chat GPT to do all of that, you're basically saying, I want you as the consumer to throw out any of your discretion when you go and you do this. So now what happens is you go into a category where you now express an interest in something, and all of a sudden, everything that you had that gives you data output is outputting to you whatever the highest bidder paid to do it for. By the way, this is not an old or new concept in advertising and technology. Matter of fact, this is very, very, very old. A perfect example of how we're seeing this implemented now. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody about, yeah, I'm really thinking about buying this new tractor? And then all of a sudden you open up Amazon or you open up Facebook, Instagram, and all of a sudden you see an advertising for tractors. Well, that's because they listen to you. By the way, that is not sophisticated technology. That's old technology. The new stuff is doing way more than that. So the whole idea is they are getting better at feeding information at you that makes you think you're the one that pulled it, when in reality, they brainwashed you with it. And that's exactly how the final Antichrist, I think, is going to do what he's going to do that we read about in the Bible, especially when you talk about the image of the beast. And you talk about this picture of this animated image that is, in essence, going to be worshipped and is going to, there's some level, fundamental level of communication that comes from that image. You know that it has to involve stuff like this, right? Now, I want to make myself very clear. I am not saying that the Antichrist is AI hogwash. The Antichrist is a man who is possessed by Satan himself. At the 3.5-year mark, okay, the Antichrist becomes the beast. I want people to understand that. So this is a very important distinction. We are talking about all humans here, but the assistance of AI is a remarkable picture.